Let me start with something that might hurt your feelings. I don't care. Because your feelings have been lying to you. Your feelings are the reason you're still stuck. Your feelings are the reason you wake up tired, go to bed guilty, and spend the middle hours of your day doing absolutely nothing that matters. We have been told a fairy tale. The fairy tale goes like this. You just need to find your motivation. Once you get motivated, everything will be easy. That is garbage. That is the biggest lie ever sold to the American public. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change like the weather. You don't build a skyscraper on weather. You build it on concrete. Discipline is the concrete. Motivation is just the fog that shows up sometimes and then burns off by noon. Let me prove it to you. Think about the last time you had a big goal. Maybe it was January 1st. You were fired up. You wrote down your resolutions. You bought the planner. You downloaded the app. You felt motivated. And then what happened? 3 weeks later, the planner was on the shelf. The app sent you notifications that you ignored. The motivation died. Why? Because motivation is a drug, and like every drug, the high wears off. When the high wears off, you crash, and when you crash, you tell yourself, I guess I don't want it badly enough. That is a lie. You do want it. You just don't have the system. I am talking to the person who watches self-improvement videos at 2 a.m. but can't get out of bed at 7 a.m. I am talking to the person who has 3 business ideas, 5 book ideas, and 0 follow-through. I am talking to the person who feels lazy not because they are broken, but because they have been waiting for a feeling that will never stay. Here is the truth, and I need you to hear this clearly. Motivation is not the cause of action. Motivation is the result of action. Read that again. Motivation does not come before you start. Motivation comes after you start. You do not wait for the feeling to hit you. You take the first ugly, uncomfortable, heavy step. And then, somewhere around step 3 or 4, motivation shows up like a late guest and says, oh, hey, I guess we're doing this. But you have to start without it. So why do you feel lazy? Let me give you the real answer. It is not because you are lazy. It is because your brain is wired for survival, not for success. Your brain has one job: keep you safe. Safe means comfortable. Comfortable means the couch. Comfortable means the phone. Comfortable means the same thing you did yesterday. Your brain does not care about your six-pack abs. Your brain does not care about your side hustle. Your brain cares about calories and safety. Change is dangerous to your brain, so your brain creates a feeling called laziness to protect you from the risk of trying. Laziness is not a personality flaw. Laziness is a defense mechanism, and you have been letting your brain win every single day. Not anymore. Here is the first rule of the laziness protocol. Write this down or remember it. You are not allowed to trust how you feel. Feelings are not facts. Feeling lazy does not mean you are lazy. It means your brain is sending you a false alarm, and you need to treat that alarm like a fire drill. You acknowledge it, and then you move anyway. The most disciplined people on planet Earth are not special. Navy SEALs feel tired. CEOs feel scared. Athletes feel sore. The difference is they have a contract with themselves. They made a promise, and they keep their promises even when it hurts. You need to make that same contract. So, here is your first action step, and I want you to do this right now while you are listening. Identify one thing, just one thing, One small thing that you know you need to do today. Maybe it's a workout. Maybe it's 5 minutes of work. Maybe it's just making your bed. Now, here is the rule. You are not allowed to wait until you feel like doing it. You're going to count backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on 1, you move your body. That's it. You don't have to finish the whole task. You just have to start. Because starting is the hardest part. Starting is where 90% of people quit. Once you start, the momentum carries you. Discipline is not about being a robot. Discipline is about being a person who keeps their word to themselves. And right now, you have been breaking your word to yourself so many times that your own brain doesn't believe you anymore. That stops today. We are going to rebuild that trust, brick by brick, small win by small win. You are not going to wake up tomorrow as a different person, but you are going to wake up tomorrow as a person who took one step, and then another, and then another. In part 2, I am going to teach you exactly how to kill the tomorrow trap, the psychological trick your brain uses to convince you that starting tomorrow is better than starting today. Spoiler alert, tomorrow never comes. But before we get there, I need you to do something uncomfortable. I need you to pause this audio, stand up, take 3 deep breaths, and do that one thing you have been avoiding, just for 5 minutes. I'll wait. You did it? Good. Welcome to discipline. It doesn't feel like motivation. It feels heavier, but it also feels real, because it's real.
Let me ask you a question, and I want an honest answer. How many times have you said the word tomorrow in the last 7 days? I will start tomorrow. I will eat better tomorrow. I will work on my business tomorrow. I will go to the gym tomorrow. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Tomorrow is the most expensive word in the English language. It has cost you more money, more health, more relationships, and more years of your life than any failure ever could. Failure teaches you something. Tomorrow teaches you nothing. Tomorrow just steals. Let me tell you exactly what tomorrow is. Tomorrow is a trap. Tomorrow is a beautiful, comforting, seductive trap that your lazy brain built to keep you exactly where you are. Think about it. When do you feel most motivated? Is it at 7 a.m. when the alarm goes off? No. It is at 11 p.m. when you are lying in bed, scrolling your phone, feeling guilty about the day you wasted. At 11 p.m., you make big promises. Tomorrow I will be different. Tomorrow I will wake up early. Tomorrow I will crush it. And then tomorrow comes. The alarm rings, and suddenly the person who made those promises last night is gone. In their place is a tired, grumpy human who just wants 5 more minutes. And then 5 more becomes 30 more, and 30 becomes, I will just start tomorrow. This is not a willpower problem. This is a neuroscience problem. Here is what is happening inside your skull. When you imagine doing something tomorrow, your brain releases dopamine. You feel good. You feel excited. You feel productive. You haven't done a single thing, but your brain is already rewarding you for the plan. That is crazy. That's like getting a paycheck for a job you never showed up to. Your brain loves tomorrow because tomorrow has no pain. Tomorrow has no resistance. Tomorrow you are a superhero. Tomorrow you have infinite energy. Tomorrow you are disciplined, focused, and unstoppable. But tomorrow is not a real place. Tomorrow is a fantasy, and you've been living in a fantasy while your real life burns down around you. I want you to look at your life right now. Just look at it. Not the life you want, not the life you post on Instagram, the real life, the one you are living today. Are you happy with it? Are you proud of it? If not, ask yourself one question. How many of your problems are caused by things you said you would do tomorrow but never did? The email you were supposed to send, the conversation you were supposed to have, the application you were supposed to submit, the workout you were supposed to finish, the money you were supposed to save. Every single one of those things started with the word tomorrow, and every single one of them is still undone. So here's the hard truth, and I need you to hear this without getting defensive. You do not have a motivation problem. You have an integrity problem. You do not keep your word to yourself. You make promises to yourself at night and break them in the morning. And after years of doing this, your brain has learned something very dangerous. Your brain has learned that your words mean nothing. When you say, "I will do this tomorrow," your brain laughs. Your brain knows you're lying. Your brain has seen this movie before. You say tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and nothing changes, so your brain stops taking you seriously. And if your brain does not take you seriously, why would you take yourself seriously? This is the cycle. This is the trap, and you have been stuck in it for years. Now, let me give you the key to get out. The only way to kill tomorrow is to make today unacceptable. You need to reach a point where staying the same hurts more than changing. Right now, you are comfortable being uncomfortable. You are used to the guilt. You are used to the shame. You are used to waking up disappointed. That has become normal for you, and normal is the enemy of great. You need to raise your standards. You need to look in the mirror and say, "I'm done being the person who says tomorrow." Here's the protocol. I call it the 24-hour rule. You are not allowed to push anything to tomorrow that you can do in the next 24 hours. Not next week, not next month, not Monday. 24 hours. That's your window. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, you do it immediately, right now. No waiting, no putting it on a list, no saying later. You do it. If a task takes longer than 2 minutes, you schedule it for a specific time today. Not sometime today, that's vague. Vague is the language of laziness. You say, "I will do this at 3 p.m., and at 3 p.m., you stop everything and you do it. No negotiation, no excuses, no feelings. Here's the second tool. Stop planning your motivation. Start planning your environment. You know what the most disciplined people do differently? They don't rely on their memory. They don't rely on their feelings. They build a world where the lazy choice is harder than the disciplined choice. You want to wake up early? Put your alarm clock across the room so you have to stand up to turn it off. You want to go to the gym? Sleep in your workout clothes. You want to stop scrolling your phone? Delete the apps. Put your phone in another room. Make it annoying to be lazy. Laziness is not a choice. Laziness is a path of least resistance. If the couch is comfortable and the gym is far, you will pick the couch every time. So you need to make the couch uncomfortable. Put your running shoes on top of the TV remote. Put your laptop on top of the refrigerator. Make laziness require effort. One more thing, and this is the most important part of part 2. You need to stop romanticizing your future self. Your future self is not a superhero. Your future self is exactly the same person you are today. If you don't change your actions today, your future self will have the same problems, the same excuses, and the same tomorrows. The only difference between you and the person you want to be is what you do between now and 5 p.m. today. Not tomorrow, today. So here's your assignment before part 3. Write down 3 things you've been saying tomorrow to, just 3, and then do one of them before you go to sleep tonight, just 1. Prove to yourself that you can keep a promise. Because part 3 is where things get serious. Part 3 is called the 0-day killer. We're going to talk about what happens when you fail, because you will fail. Everyone fails. The question is not whether you fail, the question is whether you get back up. But that's for next time. Right now, you have one job. Kill tomorrow. Start today.
Welcome back. You have made it to part 3. That means something. That means you are serious, or at least you are serious enough to keep listening. And right now, serious enough is good enough. In part 1, we killed motivation. We buried it. We put a tombstone on it that says, motivation was here and good riddance. In part 2, we exposed the tomorrow trap. We showed you that tomorrow is a fantasy land where lazy people go to feel productive without doing any work. Now, in part 3, we talk about the thing nobody wants to talk about, the thing that makes people uncomfortable, the thing that separates the people who win from the people who complain. We talk about 0 days. What is a 0 day? A 0 day is a day where you do absolutely nothing to move toward the person you claim you want to become. A 0 day is when you wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, eat, sleep, and repeat. You didn't get worse, but you didn't get better. You stood still, and in the game of life, standing still is the same as moving backward. Here is the brutal truth. Most of your life is made of 0 days. Not because you were evil, not because you were hopeless, but because 0 days are easy. 0 days requires 0 effort. 0 days requires 0 risk. 0 days requires 0 discomfort. And your brain loves 0 days. Your brain would choose a 0 day every single time if you let it. But here's what you need to understand. 1 0 day is nothing. Everybody has a bad day. You get sick, you get tired, life happens. 1 0 day does not ruin your life. The problem is not 1 0 day. The problem is what happens after the 0 day. Let me describe a pattern. See if this sounds familiar. Monday, you crush it. You wake up early, you work out, you eat well, you are a machine. You feel amazing. Tuesday, you are tired. You skip the workout. You tell yourself you will do double tomorrow. You have a small 0 day. No big deal. Wednesday, you wake up and you feel guilty about Tuesday. The guilt makes you feel bad. Feeling bad makes you want comfort. Comfort means more 0. So Wednesday becomes a 0 day too. Thursday, now you've had 2 0 days in a row. Your brain says, well, the week is ruined anyway. Might as well start fresh on Monday. Thursday becomes a 0 day. Friday becomes a 0 day. Saturday and Sunday become 0 days. And just like that, one small 0 day turned into 6 0 days. One crack in the dam became a flood. You did not plan to fail. You just failed to stop the first 0 day from becoming a second one. This is called the compound effect of 0 days, and it is the #1 reason people stay stuck for years. You think you need a massive transformation. You think you need to wake up one day as a completely different person. That is not how it works. What you need is to stop the bleeding. You need to stop the chain of 0 days before it starts. Here is the rule, and I need you to write this down or tattoo it on your brain.
Never 2 days in a row. That's it. That's the whole secret. You are allowed to fail. You are allowed to have a bad day. You are allowed to be lazy. Life is hard. Things happen. But you are not allowed to fail twice in a row. You missed your workout on Monday? Fine. Tuesday, you do 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. You ate junk food on Tuesday? Fine. Wednesday, you eat one healthy meal. Just one. You did not work on your business on Wednesday? Fine. Thursday, you write one email. Just one. 1 day is a mistake. 2 days in a row is a decision. And you need to stop deciding to lose. The most successful people in America are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail and then show up the next day anyway. They are the ones who have the discipline to say, yesterday was trash, today is a new chance. You do not need to be perfect. Perfection is a trap. Perfection is the enemy of done. Perfection is what lazy people hide behind. I can't start until everything is perfect. That's nonsense. Start ugly. Start messy. Start small. Just don't stop. Let me give you a tool. I call it the minimum viable day. Here's how it works. You define the smallest possible version of your goal, the version that is almost embarrassing because it's so easy, and you promise yourself that you will do that minimum every single day, no matter what. You want to write a book? Your minimum viable day is 1 sentence. That's it. 1 sentence. You can always write 1 sentence. Even on your worst day, you can write 1 sentence. You want to get fit? Your minimum viable day is 1 push-up. 1. You can do 1 push-up in your pajamas. You can do 1 push-up when you're sick. 1 push-up is nothing, but 1 push-up leads to 2. 2 leads to 5. 5 leads to 10. You want to build a business? Your minimum viable day is 1 phone call, or 1 email, or 5 minutes of research, something so small that your lazy brain can't argue with it. Why does this work? Because action creates momentum, and momentum kills laziness. Think about a heavy train. A train takes a long time to start moving. It needs massive energy to overcome the initial resistance. But once that train is moving, it is almost impossible to stop. The same train that struggled to start can now crush a car parked on the tracks. You are that train. The 0 days are keeping you parked at the station. The minimum viable day is the small push that gets the wheels turning. Once you start moving even a little bit, everything changes. Your brain stops fighting you. The resistance melts. The laziness fades. Not because you became a different person, but because you proved to yourself that you can take action. And that proof matters more than any motivational video. That proof is real. That proof lives in your nervous system. That proof says, I am not a liar. I am not a quitter. I am someone who shows up. So here's your assignment for part 3, and I'm not kidding about this. Identify your minimum viable day for 1 goal. Just 1. Make it so small that it's ridiculous, so small that you'd be embarrassed to tell someone else. 1 push-up, 1 sentence, 1 minute of meditation, 1 glass of water. And then do it tomorrow morning. Do it before you check your phone. Do it before your brain has a chance to make excuses. And here's the promise you make to yourself. You will never, ever let 2 0 days happen in a row. If you miss a day, you show up the next day, no matter what. No matter how tired, no matter how busy, no matter how lazy you feel, you show up. Because showing up is the only thing that matters. Not the result, not the performance, not the perfection, just showing up. In part 4, we're going to close this out. Part 4 is called the identity shift. We're going to talk about how to stop seeing yourself as a lazy person and start seeing yourself as someone who does hard things. We're going to talk about the science of habits and why your environment matters more than your willpower. But before we get there,
You have work to do. You have a minimum viable day to plan. You have a promise to make to yourself. Don't break it. You have broken enough promises already.
You have made it to part 4, the final part, the closing argument. If you have listened to part 1, part 2, and part 3, you are not lazy. Let me say that again. You are not lazy. Lazy people do not make it this far. Lazy people quit in the first 5 minutes. You are still here. That means something inside you is hungry. That means something inside you is tired of being stuck. That means something inside you is ready to change. But here's the problem, and I need you to hear this clearly. You have tried before. You have tried to change. You have made promises. You have set goals. You have bought the planner, the app, the program, the course. And somehow you always end up back where you started. Same couch, same excuses, same guilt. Why? Why does this keep happening? Because you have been trying to change your actions without changing your identity, and that never works. That's like putting new tires on a car that has no engine. You look busy, but you're not going anywhere. Let me explain. Right now, somewhere deep inside you, there is a story about who you are, a story you have been telling yourself for years. Maybe you do not say it out loud, but you believe it. The story goes something like this. I am not a disciplined person. I am lazy. I always quit. That's just who I am. That story is your identity, and your identity controls everything you do. You do not act randomly. You act in ways that prove your identity is true. If you believe you are lazy, your brain will find evidence to support that belief. You will sleep in. You will quit. You will procrastinate. Not because you want to, but because your brain is trying to be consistent with who you think you are. This is the deepest trap of all. The action trap is shallow. You can fix actions with a calendar or an alarm clock, but the identity trap is deep. You cannot fix your identity with a to-do list. You have to rewrite the story. So here's what we're going to do in this final part. We're going to kill the old identity. We're going to bury the person who says, I am lazy, and we're going to build a new identity, an identity that doesn't need motivation, an identity that doesn't fall into the tomorrow trap, an identity that refuses to have 2 0 days in a row. Are you ready? Good, because this is where most people quit, right here, right at the moment of transformation. It's easier to stay the same. It's safer to be the lazy person you've always been. Changing your identity is scary. It means letting go of the excuses that have protected you. But you didn't come this far to quit, so let's go. Here's the first rule of identity change. Stop saying, I am lazy. Stop saying, I have no discipline. Stop saying, I always quit. Every time you say those words, you are casting a vote for the old identity. You are strengthening the story you're trying to kill. Words are not just words. Words are spells. When you speak, you cast a spell on yourself. So stop casting the spell of laziness. Instead, you're going to start saying something different, even if it feels like a lie at first. Even if you don't believe it yet, you say it anyway. Say this. I am someone who does hard things. Say this, I keep my promises to myself. Say this, I show up even when I don't feel like it. These are not affirmations. These are declarations. You are not trying to manifest anything. You are not meditating on a mountain. You are declaring war on your old identity. And every time you say these words, you are pulling the trigger. But words alone are not enough. Words without action are just noise. You need to earn your new identity. You need to give your brain evidence that the old story is dead. Here's how you do it. You start with one small action, the smallest possible action, the minimum viable day we talked about in part 3. 1 push-up, 1 sentence, 1 email, 1 minute. And then you do it again tomorrow, and again the next day, and again the day after that.
At first, nothing feels different. You're just doing tiny things, but something is happening underneath the surface. Your brain is collecting evidence. Every time you take action, you cast a vote for the new identity. Every time you skip a day, you cast a vote for the old identity. After 1 week, you have 7 votes for the new identity. After 1 month, you have 30 votes for the new identity. After 3 months, the old identity is dead. It didn't die in one dramatic moment. It died from 1,000 small cuts, 1,000 small actions that proved you are not who you used to be. This is how discipline is built, not in giant leaps, not in heroic moments, in the boring, unglamorous, repetitive actions you take when nobody is watching. The USA audience loves the big win, the Super Bowl, the championship, the moment on the podium. But the big win is just the final second of a 10-year grind. The discipline is built in the off-season, in the dark mornings, in the lonely hours, in the moments when quitting would be so easy. You want to know the secret to discipline? Here it is. There is no secret. There is only showing up, over and over and over again, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when you see no progress, even when you want to quit. Show up. Now, let me give you one final tool. This is the most powerful tool in the entire laziness protocol. I call it the 10-minute rule. When you feel the wave of laziness coming, when your brain is screaming at you to stay on the couch, when every fiber of your being wants to quit, you make a deal with yourself. You say, I will do this for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, and if I still want to quit after 10 minutes, I can quit. Here's what happens. 10 minutes is nothing. 10 minutes is 1 TikTok video. 10 minutes is 2 songs. Your brain can handle 10 minutes. So you start, and after 10 minutes, something magical happens. You don't want to quit anymore. The resistance is gone. The momentum has taken over. You keep going. This works because the hardest part of any task is the first 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes are torture. But once you get past those 3 minutes, the task becomes easier. Your brain stops fighting. Your body takes over. You enter what athletes call the flow state. The 10-minute rule gets you past the torture zone. It tricks your brain into starting, and starting is everything. So here's your final assignment, and this one is non-negotiable. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you check email, before you do anything else, you are going to do one thing, just one thing. It can be 1 push-up, it can be 1 minute of meditation, it can be 1 page of reading, it can be making your bed. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you do it. And then you're going to look in the mirror and say these words out loud. I am someone who shows up. You will do this every single day for 30 days. No exceptions, no excuses, no 0 days in a row. After 30 days, you will not recognize yourself, not because you became Superman, but because you became someone who keeps their word, and that person is unstoppable. Let me leave you with this. You have listened to 4 parts. You have heard the truth about motivation, the tomorrow trap, 0 days, and identity. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have everything you need. The only thing missing is the action, and that part is on you. Nobody can do it for you. No audiobook, no coach, no video, no program can take the step for you. You have to take it. So take it today. Take it right now. Don't wait for part 5. There is no part 5. This is the end of the script, but it is the beginning of your life. You are not lazy. You never were. You were just waiting for permission to become who you were meant to be. Consider this your permission. Now go, show up, do the work, and never, ever let yourself forget who you really are. End of the Laziness Protocol.